Hello, my name is Kate Pound, and my role is in NHS England as an improvement lead. I work in the emergency care improvement support team, and I'm also a Horizons Fellow. I initially got involved with school when I worked as a improvement lead at Nottingham University Hospitals. I was an improvement lead in the programme's called Better for You at Nottingham University Hospitals. And I just remember joining it and hearing Helen Bevan for the first time on school and just thinking, wow, this is amazing. And not only that, it was actually meeting and seeing other people that also felt the same as me. Because as an improvement lead, so I'm a nurse as well, but you know, it's a bit of a lonely time. When you're trying to lead change, and I don't know, in the NHS, a lot of our work can be all around performance management. And actually, when it's about my job is about improving the experiences for patients and our staff. So to connect with others that were a bit rebellious like me was just like the best ever experience. I found out about NHS Change Day and kind of went to the rest of the team and my director, Tim Geiler, and just said, we've got to be part of this. We've got to be doing this. This is like an opportunity for us to work with teams. So there was three of us basically got our heads together and came up with a plan of how we were going to do this across the whole organisation. School was an opportunity to kind of learn skills. So we'd encourage people, nurses, staff, it didn't matter who you were, to be part of school. The way we approached it is that we went round all the different teams and wards, and we created kind of it was a movement. We had these like great big TARDIS, I think I probably called them, and everybody could write their idea on. And some of them were as small as a smile, but actually, if you're a patient and you're scared and you're, not sure what's going to happen to you, to then have somebody smile to you and reassure you, it's it's what you want. And when we talk about theatre safety, to feel safe in the environment is so important. So a smile isn't just a smile; it's such a massive thing. And it was that kind of like, small things growing to big things. And it was just brilliant to feel the energy. Like thinking about new power and old power and public narrative has been such a big help. And, it wasn't just for that moment of change day, it's helped me throughout the whole of my career. And now, I teach others about how new power, old power affects or impacts on their change that they're doing and about how to create their public narrative. It was, joining school probably was the turning point in my career. It led to a whole different place. It wasn't I was unhappy. I loved working where I was working, but I'd always been in that place where I seek to do more, to make better, to do things differently. I found my place. I found my people. I worked and I connected. And those friends that I made that very first year in School for Change Agents are still friends today. And we would support each other and help each other through our difficult days. So I'd learned so many new things, but it was more about kind of like I found my place. I found those that wanted to make change just as passionately as I did. So I was going to say, I found my people. And yeah, we did make a massive difference at Nottingham. It was phenomenal. And everybody was getting involved and being part of it. But I remember going to one of the launch events for Change Day and meeting somebody called Jackie and going to Jackie Linton, and saying to her, I want to do a hackathon. And most people probably thought this person just what? But actually, what I never realized at that time is this is what Horizons did. Horizons did this kind of like new era way of leading change. And so I kind of met Jackie, I met Helen, and I started to realize actually this is people I want to work with. Yeah, so from being that first, being in that first little group to kind of like sitting down in my little room in radiology to kind of like them being on the other side supporting school. It was that kind of like you want to pinch yourself moment. I was that person that was like tweeting and putting my comments in the chat room to them being one of those people that be sitting there next to Helen presenting and facilitating. And school, we kind of like evolved, I think is probably a good word. I think the biggest thing for me was around cultural change and actually, working at the different levels. We talk about old and new power, and it was about learning how to move from that old power of, power over people and, to power with people. And that was probably some of the most important things I learned about within School for Change Agents. So um, the whole cultural change, and we also talked about within School for Change Agents around kind of like don't give up. You might get said no, but it's not. You might be too early, but carry on. And it's like we spent a time within School for Change Agents as well about learning how to create movements and creating your own narrative is kind of like how do we create that narrative, how do we create the moving story that will take people from one place to another, so they want to be part of this journey, they want to be there with you. And those are the important skills that we were able to get from or can still get from School from Change Agents. And when School for Change Agents started, you couldn't get anything like this, and it was alone. There was nothing else like this at all, and it was free and it was accessible and it was connective. And if I wanted to go to some training, it would often be that, I'd have to go and ask for money and then take time out of work because it would be away. You might connect with people at this training day, you might not. But this was, it was accessible, it was free. Anybody could join. There was no kind of like hierarchy of power on it. It was open to everybody. And this is probably the first time that, it doesn't matter what grade you are, you could got a seat at this table. So when you've completed the school change agents, to get your as part of your certification process, you would actually have a go at doing a change, and we would encourage people to tell us about that work that they've been doing. And that was brilliant. So, we'd get the opportunity of sitting there and reading all these stories. And it was almost like, that campfire moment where it's just kind of like, you sit and read, and it's just so lovely hearing the stories that people tell you about how they've delivered change locally and what a difference they've made to their own practice or to those that they work with. And it was lovely. It shouldn't matter where you are in the world, you should be able to get onto this. As I say, the table's big enough for everybody, and that's the thing about this community. School for Change Agents, everybody's welcomed. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a patient, whether you're staff, it doesn't matter. You just want to be part of this and make a difference, and this school is open for you. And I always remember, so the first year I did school, I came home and said to my husband, because he's also a public sector worker, I said, you've got to watch it. And he came out and he said, wow, that's brilliant. We became, it's just such a strong community of, care and love for each other, because it's that sense of community and togetherness that gives you the strength to lead change, and that strength to kind of like, you feel like you're not alone, you can get advice, you can get support. And when it doesn't go right, you get help from others kind of saying, well, what did I do? How do I learn from my failure? I mean, it's always been global from the very beginning. But what that allowed us to do was learn from others outside of the NHS, so that global health impact. And I think some great examples around MPJ paralysis. Um, a, One of the doctors in Australia created a like cartoon book with Dr. Zeus on NPJ paralysis, and it's just those sort of innovations, and it brought real diversity to the conversation. But obviously, the learning, because you're learning new things, it helps you to kind of so traditionally when you're kind of like working in change, you kind of taught about um, project management and all that kind of like hard factual stuff, but actually real change isn't necessarily about how good your Gantt chart is. It's about how you deliver it and how you support people. And I think it's that softer side that School for Change Agents really is really important, and how it's developed that in people, you know. And that's why School for Change Agents is so good, because a lot of people wouldn't have necessarily the right exposure to how to lead change. We're all expected to change and to lead change, but the how is just kind of like left hanging. I love school so much because it has given me friends for life, skills for life, and the ability to lead change to improve care for others.